Imagine this. It's a busy Monday morning in Paris, August 21st, 1911. People are, heading to work, the city's waking up. But deep inside the Louvre Museum, something incredible is happening. Three men who had actually hidden overnight inside, they just emerge carrying a blanket.
Mm.
And inside that blanket, not just any old thing, it's the masterpiece. They walk out, calm as anything, head to a train station nearby, hop on the 8:45 a.m. train, and just vanish. The world had no idea. They'd find out soon enough, though. They'd stolen the Mona Lisa, a painting now worth, close to $1 billion?
Incredible story.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into your sources today to really understand the mystery behind this painting. What are the secrets hidden there? And why this painting? Why is it the most famous artwork in the world?
It really is a compelling story because, for centuries, who the woman actually was, that was a huge puzzle, sparked all sorts of speculation. This deep dive, it's going to be like historical detective work, really, peeling back layers of art, science, even a bit of, human error.
And you can't talk Mona Lisa without talking Leonardo da Vinci. We think painter, right? But he was so much more. A true polymath. I mean, engineer, scientist, sculptor, architect, theorist. His curiosity covered everything. Painting, sure, but also maps, astronomy, anatomy, plants, water, rocks, optics, even fossils.
Exactly. Just an incredible mind.
Almost impossible to grasp, really.
And it's that sheer breadth of genius, that scientific approach even to art, that makes his work, especially the Mona Lisa, so incredibly rich. We'll definitely get into that.
So let's start with the big question. Who was she? The woman looking out at us. For a face everyone recognizes, her identity was surprisingly up for debate for a long time.
He really was. The first big clue we have comes from Giorgio Vasari. He was an Italian artist himself, and he wrote a biography of Leonardo back in 1550. Vasari said the woman was Lisa Gherardini. She was married to Francesco Giocondo, a silk merchant in Florence. And Vasari believed Giocondo commissioned the portrait.
Right. And that explanation, interestingly, gives us both names we use for the painting. Mona Lisa, the one everyone knows, that comes from Madonna Lisa, which just meant Madame Lisa or Lady Lisa back then. Madonna got shortened to Mona, double N in Italian, and then, traveling into English, it became Mona. So basically, Lady Lisa. Simple as that.
And the other name?
La Gioconda. That's from her married name, Lisa Giocondo. And here's a neat little detail. The Italian word Giocondo actually means lighthearted or cheerful. Kind of fitting, isn't it, considering the smile?
Yeah, nice connection.
And of course, if you go to the Louvre today, you'll see the French spelling La Joconde.
But here's the thing. Even though Vasari wrote that, people were a bit skeptical. You might wonder why, right? Well, Vasari wrote this almost 100 years after Da Vinci finished painting it, and, some of his details weren't always spot on.
Okay, so that opened the door for other ideas.
Exactly. Other theories started popping up. Some thought maybe it was Da Vinci's mother, Caterina. Others suggested an Italian noblewoman, Isabella d'Este. But probably the most talked about theory came later. In 1987, an artist, Lillian Schwartz, argued it was actually a self-portrait of Da Vinci. As a woman, she used digital tools to overlay his face and hers.
Wow, that's quite a theory, a self-portrait.
It captured the imagination for sure, but, digital comparisons can be tricky.
And today, we feel pretty confident it was Lisa Gherardini, right?
Yes, much more confident. We've moved past speculation, really. There was a professor in Florence, Silvano Vincetti, who spent something like 25 years digging through archives. Real dedication. And in 2004, he found documents, official records confirming it was Lisa Giocondo.
Finally, some solid proof.
Yeah, and his research also showed how close the families were, Da Vinci's family and the Giocondos. Records show Lisa got married March 5th, 1495. She was only 16. Francesco was about 30. And it looks like Leonardo's father knew Lisa's husband pretty well. Some even think maybe Leonardo's father arranged the commission, not Francesco.
That adds another layer. And the timing. Lisa was 24 when it was painted. Around 1503. Why then?
Good question. Two main theories there. One, they just bought their family home in 1503. Could be a celebration of that. But the other reason, maybe more likely, and quite touching actually, is that their second son, Andrea, was born in December 1502.
Celebrating a new child.
Possibly. But there's more context. Lisa had lost her first child, a daughter, just 3 years earlier in 1499. Terribly sad. And if you look really closely at the painting, some art historians think they can see a very fine, dark veil over her hair.
A mourning veil.
Exactly. The kind women wore back then after losing a child.
Yeah.
It adds this whole layer of Well, quiet resilience and personal experience to the portrait.
Yeah.
It's not just a commission, it's reflecting something deeper.
That changes how you see her expression,
Yeah.
definitely. Okay, so if Da Vinci's Italian, Lisa's Italian, why is this ultimate Italian painting in France? How did it end up there?
Right, logical question. Well, the painting's journey to France started in 1516. King Francis I of France, who was a huge art lover, invited Leonardo to come live and work at his court.
Okay.
Da Vinci accepted, moved from Italy, and he brought the Mona Lisa with him. Now, the records aren't perfectly clear, but it seems he might not have even considered it totally finished then, still tinkering with it maybe 15 years after starting.
Wow, 15 years.
Yeah. Anyway, Da Vinci died in France in 1519 while staying at the king's palace. And King Francis just kept the painting. It became part of his royal collection. Then, much later, 1797, during the French Revolution, it got moved from the palace to the Louvre, became public property.
And that's where it was until 1911, which brings us back to where we started, the theft, because not everyone agreed it should stay in France.
Precisely. The man behind that theft, Vincenzo Peruggia, he was an Italian nationalist. And the irony, he actually worked at the Louvre, or had worked there, as a frame maker.
No way, an inside job.
Pretty much. His motive wasn't money, though. It was purely ideological. He honestly believed the painting belonged to Italy, that Napoleon had stolen it, which wasn't true, but that was his belief. He thought he was taking back Italy's heritage.
Wow. So how did he pull it off? Hiding overnight.
Yeah, him and the two friends. They hid in a storeroom, apparently. Then Monday morning, when the museum was closed for cleaning or something, they took it off the wall, wasn't even bolted down, then removed the frame, wrapped it in a blanket, and just walked out.
Unbelievable. Just walked out the door.
Caught the 8.45 train. The audacity is just, yeah, mind-blowing. A quiet Monday, and the world's most famous painting disappears.
Okay, so putting aside the history drama for a second,
Yeah.
what about the painting itself? Artistically, what makes it so special? Because it really did break new ground.
It absolutely did. On a purely physical level, a few things stand out. First, the surface. It's painted on poplar wood, not canvas. That was a favorite for Italian artists.
Yeah.
Then gave a really smooth base for fine details. Second, the size. It often surprises people. It's actually quite small, only about 77 by 53 centimeters, like a, large magazine cover maybe.
Huh. I always pictured it bigger.
Everyone does. But despite being small, the composition was revolutionary for Italy at the time. It's one of the earliest examples of a half-length portrait focusing so closely on the person. That kind of close-up. We see it all the time in photos now, obviously, but back then, very new.
And the colors, it looks quite brown, yellow now? I remember hearing some funny story about that.
I asked the color. Well, two main reasons it looks like that. First, there's a protective varnish layer oils, resins applied over the paint. Over hundreds of years, that varnish has naturally yellowed and darkened. That's a big part of it.
Okay.
Second, the original pigments themselves have just faded over 500 years. It would have been much brighter, more colorful originally, and yeah, the yellowish tint. It famously led one professor to jokingly diagnose Lisa with high cholesterol.
Based on her complexion.
Exactly. But beyond the aging, Da Vinci used a specific technique that's key to its whole look. It's called sfumato. It basically means smoked or blurred in Italian.
Sfumato.
Yeah. It's a technique of blending. Outlines aren't sharp, they're soft, hazy. Colors merge really subtly into each other. You see it especially where Lisa's figure meets the background, that misty landscape, probably the Arno Valley in Italy. Even her hair seems to almost dissolve into the air.
And that technique, that's connected to the smile, isn't it? Now let's talk about that smile, the famous, mysterious smile. You're saying sfumato is the secret.
It's a huge part of it. It's basically a masterclass in visual psychology, using sfumato to create an optical illusion. The amazing thing is, the smile seems to change depending on where you look.
How so?
Well, if you stare directly at her lips, her expression can look quite neutral, almost serious even.
Yeah.
But shift your gaze up to her eyes, or look at other parts of the painting, and suddenly, she seems to be smiling more. It's elusive.
I think I know what you mean. I've felt that looking at it. But how does our brain get tricked like that?
It's all about how our eyes work. When you don't focus directly on the mouth, your peripheral vision kicks in more. And peripheral vision is better at picking up shadows, contrasts, sort of black and white information.
Okay.
Da Vinci used sfumato to create these incredibly subtle shadows around the corners of her mouth. Your peripheral vision catches those shadows, interprets them as an upward curve, as a smile. But when you look directly at the lips, your central vision, the fovea, takes over. That part sees fine detail. And the actual line of her mouth, it's quite flat. So direct gaze, less smile. Peripheral gaze, more smile.
That is absolutely ingenious. He engineered the smile.
Pretty much. And this leads to something really fascinating. Da Vinci's, well, obsession with getting it right. It wasn't just about artistic feeling. He approached it like a scientist.
How far did he actually go?
Incredibly far. It raises the question, how much science does an artist need? For Da Vinci, the answer was a lot. He spent nights, apparently, in a hospital in Florence dissecting human corpses.
Dissecting bodies. For a painting.
Yeah. To study the facial muscles and nerves, especially the lips. He wrote in his notebooks, "The muscles which move the lips are more numerous in man than in any other animal." He really wanted to understand exactly how a smile is formed anatomically.
That's intense dedication.
It doesn't stop there. He even got into comparative anatomy, studied horses' faces, comparing their muscle structure to humans. He actually wrote a note to himself. Notice whether the muscle that raises the nostrils of the horse is the same as that which lies here in man. I mean, who does that? An artist comparing human smiles to horse nostrils for a portrait.
Unbelievable. So anatomy, then optics.
Exactly. His scientific curiosity drove him to research optics too. How light hits the retina. He understood that the fovea, the center, sees sharp detail, while the rest of the retina is better with shadows and peripheral information. He then applied that knowledge, those fumato shadows around the mouth. They're designed specifically to trigger that peripheral vision effect.
So the smile isn't just painted, it's calculated based on how we see.
Precisely. It's optical engineering meeting artistic genius. That's why it still mesmerizes and puzzles us.
Okay, prepare yourself for this next bit. How would you feel if I told you the Mona Lisa isn't just one painting, but maybe two paintings? And this isn't some wild conspiracy theory, there's actual evidence behind it.
Wow. Okay, 2 Mona Lisas. That's intriguing. Tell me more. Where does that idea come from?
It starts with another giant of the Renaissance, Raphael. In 1504, Raphael did a sketch, pen and ink. It clearly shows the Mona Lisa figure, but with 2 distinct columns framing her, one on each side.
Columns? But the Louvre Mona Lisa doesn't have columns like that.
Exactly. For ages, people just thought, oh, Raphael added the columns, artistic license. But then Professor Pallanti, the same guy who confirmed Lisa's identity, he found out that Raphael actually lived right across the street from the Gioconda family in Florence back then.
Okay, so he likely saw the painting being made, or soon after.
Right. Which begs the question, why draw columns if they weren't there? Did he just imagine them? Or was he sketching a different version of the Mona Lisa?
Ah, okay. I see where this is going. Was there another one?
We'll jump forward to 1914. A novelist named John R. Eyre, living near London, discovers another version. It becomes known as the Isleworth Mona Lisa. And many researchers now think this might be the painting Raphael sketched.
The Isleworth Mona Lisa. Okay, how is it different from the Louvre one?
Quite a few ways. It's a bit bigger, about 3.5 inches longer, 5 inches wider. The woman in it looks distinctly younger. Her head's tilted slightly more forward. And her expression, it's much more direct, clearer, none of that famous mysterious sfumato smile.
More straightforward.
Yeah. And crucially, it has the 2 columns in the background, just like Raphael's sketch.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just a later copy. What are the theories then? Did Leo paint 2? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It throws a real curveball into art history. One major theory is, yes, Leonardo worked on 2 Mona Lisas, maybe around the same time. The Isleworth one could be an earlier version, maybe more experimental. That would explain the younger appearance.
So not one single masterpiece, but maybe an evolution.
Possibly. Then there's another idea, put forward by the Mona Lisa Foundation after they studied the Isleworth painting extensively around 2010. They suggested that yes, the face and hands are likely by Leonardo, but the background, maybe it was finished by someone else. An assistant in his workshop, perhaps a less skilled one.
So collaboration, or partly unfinished by him.
Could be. It opens up fascinating questions about how Renaissance workshops operated. Did masters always finish every inch themselves? Or was delegation common? Both theories, the 2 versions or the workshop completion, they're still debated. We don't have that final absolute proof yet. But the existence of the Isleworth painting definitely deepens the whole Mona Lisa mystery.
It really does. Makes you wonder what else we don't know. Okay, let's bring it back to the theft. Vincenzo Peruggia. What happened to him after he tried to offload the world's most famous painting?
Right. So after stealing it in 1911, he actually hid it in his apartment in Paris for 2 years. 2 whole years. He apparently kept it in a trunk. The problem was he couldn't sell it. It was just too hot. The theft was massive news globally. Everyone was looking for it.
Must have been nerve-wracking.
You'd think.
Huh.
Eventually, he got impatient, took it back to Italy. to Florence and tried to sell it to an art dealer there, Giovanni Poggi.
Bit risky.
Very. Poggi was immediately suspicious. He asked to verify it, saw the official Louvre stamp or mark on the back, and knew it was the real deal. He contacted the authorities. Peruggi was caught.
And the punishment, stealing the Mona Lisa, must have been severe.
You'd expect a long sentence, wouldn't you? But he actually only got about 6 months in prison.
6 months, that's it.
Yeah. There was apparently a lot of public sympathy for him in Italy. People saw him as this misguided patriot trying to bring Italy's treasure home. So the court was relatively lenient. The painting, of course, was returned to the Louvre. It went back on display January 4th, 1914. And now it's behind bulletproof glass in a super strict climate-controlled box.
Yeah.
50% humidity, give or take 10%, temperature between 18 and 21 degrees Celsius. No chances taken anymore.
Understandable. But here's the final twist, the real kicker in this whole story. Maybe the most interesting part. It was only after the theft that the Mona Lisa became ridiculously famous. Before 1911, it wasn't really a global household name.
That's absolutely right. It's the ultimate irony.
Before the theft, sure, art lovers knew it, experts knew it, but the average person on the street, probably not. The theft propelled it into the stratosphere.
It's totally paradoxical, isn't it?
Yeah.
His attempt to reclaim it for Italy inadvertently made it the ultimate symbol of the Louvre in French culture, arguably. So when you go to the Louvre today and you see those huge crowds, everyone pushing to get a selfie, you can pretty much thank Vincenzo Peruggia for that level of global mega fame. His crime, born of nationalism, is what accidentally cemented its legendary status worldwide. It became famous for being stolen as much as for being a masterpiece.
What an incredible story we've unpacked today, seriously. From that wild theft in Paris, we tracked down the real Lisa Gherardini, explored Da Vinci's mind-blowing genius, not just art, but science, anatomy, optics. Then the secrets of that smile, engineered through sfumato and intense research. Then the whole possibility of a second Mona Lisa, challenging everything we thought we knew. And finally, the biggest irony of all, how getting stolen made it the most famous painting on Earth.
It really shows, doesn't it, how history, art, science, chance events, even just human quirks and mistakes, they all weave together to create something legendary. It makes you really question what famous even means. The Mona Lisa's story is as much about the drama around the painting as the painting itself.
So here's something to think about for you listening. As you move through the world, encountering all sorts of famous art, yes, but also historical moments, public figures, brands, anything. How much of that fame is down to genuine, inherent quality or merit? And how much is just circumstance, shaped by events, by stories told, maybe even by accidents, completely separate from the thing itself? Where does the substance end and the story begin? Something to mull over.